I want a heart that forgives, one full of loss, one with compassion just like yours above, one that overcomes evil with goodness and love. Like it never happened, never holding a grudge. I want a heart that forgives, one that lives and lets live, one that keeps loving over and over again, one that makes can offend because your word is thin, one that loves without price like yours, Lord Jesus Christ. I want a heart that loves everybody, even my enemies. That's when it gets real hard. I want to be like you, live like you, just like you did. I want to walk like you, talk like you, just like you did. I want a heart that forgives. I want a heart that forgives. When the pain, when the ones that are closest, that I've known the longest, they hurt me the most. I still want to love you just like you love me, even though I'm hurting. I want a heart that forgives when the pain is so deep. It's so hard to speak about it to anyone. But just like your son, I give up my rights to hold it against them, hatred inside. I want a heart that loves everybody, even my enemies. I want to be like you, live like you, just like you did. I want to walk like you, talk like you, just like you did. I want a heart that forgives.
Oh yeah. Now this is a Michael Jackson song. Now, we all know about Michael Jackson and his father. Now, raise your hand if everybody know about Michael Jackson and his father. We all know he had a situation with his father. No, let's let the people listen to Michael Jackson. See everybody? Y'all focus in on Michael Jackson. When Michael Jackson starts to sing, everybody starts to do this.
I cannot explain.
Now watch this beat. Now, y'all bounce a little bit. Hey! Alright. Now once again, my name is Ron McCoy. I teach organic guidance. I believe in people grow where motivation flows. Just wherever water flows, food grows. Okay? So if wherever the motivation is flowing, people will grow off of that. Okay? Now, once again, my name is Ronald McFoy. I have a mother and father that came from Ghana, Africa, all the way in 1971. Brought my sister here. Had me in 1980 and 1981, my brother. Right? I mixed up the numbers, but y'all probably not tricky. Now, you see, when I started off with Michael Jackson song, I started off saying, hey, Michael Jackson and his father had a relationship, and we all know it was like this. But Michael Jackson's father installed in him one thing. He said, be impeccable with your words. Every kid and every human being has to be impeccable with their words, because your words can either help or destroy everything around you. So things that come out of you kids' mouth and adults' mouth, it has to be good, because people will remember you for what you said about them. Okay? Now, Michael Jackson had that relationship, said, Daddy, come on, let me outside, let me go play. He said, boy, if you want to be the best in life, listen to me. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to guide you to where you need to be. People will bow down to you, Michael, if you listen to me. But Daddy, I want to go outside and play. Look, check this out, Michael, you ain't understanding. You're not understanding what I'm telling you, Michael. People are going to pass out. And everywhere you go, anything you ask for, you shall receive. Do you want to receive anything you ask for, Michael? Yeah, Daddy. Well, get your ass over here and get to singing and dancing. Right? So when my father came from Africa, he installed in me that, hey, you in America. You don't got nothing to lose. I came from Africa. They stopped us from doing everything. But you in America. And as long as you in America, you can do anything what you want.
All right.
You do. And that's my father right there. So he installed in me a big imagination since I was yay tall. Now, he wasn't the most perfect man, but he was a good man. Right? We was living in the Los Angeles area. We had a good life. Then one day, they came and took my father away. Was forced us in a one-bedroom apartment with my grandmother, my mother, and my sister, and my brother. Now, we stayed in this one-bedroom apartment. Oh, it was lovely. We didn't want for nothing. Because you know why? We was the boys. And the girls gave us everything.
That's my little brother. Come on, get me.
Right? So we had a good life. But then time changed. My father came back home. And he came back home with protecting and providing. Two things, protecting and providing. So he guided us with this. He said, hey, son, you got to do what you want to do, man. You see Michael who? Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan and Michael Johnson, they playing basketball, they doing hoops. You gonna be like them, son. So he bought us basketball. Came next basketball next day. Next you know, we see Mike Tyson fight. Mike Tyson knocking people out in the first round. My daddy said, boy, you can be Mike Tyson. Boy, all the money he got. All this money he got. Boy. He bought us some boxing gloves. Then we saw Michael Jackson. Right? Michael Jackson dad. My daddy said, boy, do you see Michael? Do you see Michael? Michael is the man. I said, yeah, Daddy, he is. He said, break that. I said, I can't do all that, Daddy. He said, don't worry about it. Next thing you know, he came to the house with a karaoke machine. We got basketball, we got basketball, we got the gloves, and we got the karaoke machine. See, my dad said, do what you do, right? So then it came into my life. I came around about 11, 12, 13 years old. We out here in the streets. Now I'm gonna tell you guys like this, as a man in life, coming from where we come from, if you make one mistake, you will pay for it 1,000 times. 1,000 times. And us as some men, and I ain't gonna say black men, I'm just gonna say men in general, you will make one mistake and you will pay for it 1,000 times. So my dad had to pay for a mistake that he made back then 1,000 times, which caused us to downgrade. Instead of wearing Jordans, I was wearing Jordache. Feel me? I was wearing Jordache where I was hiding my shoes under the tables at school. I was walking outside slow like this. My mom said, what you smoking? Go to school, boy. These shoes I'm wearing. Oh, boy, I ain't got no money. We only can afford what we can afford. And I have to respect that, right? So, down the line, I seen friends outside. These friends outside were showing and telling me bad things, but receiving a good result, and that was money. Money. And as a kid that doesn't have what he used to have, he's saying, hey, how did you do that? Well, I'm stealing cars. I'm breaking into cars. And I'm selling the pieces off the car. And what you doing? Oh, I'm selling crack cocaine. Want me to teach you how to sell some crack cocaine and you put some money in your pocket? At a young age, 13, 14. Now, 10 years down the line, I'm doing the same thing. Hustling in the streets. Robbing, stealing. Looking at pimps, killers, and drug dealers. And I'm looking at my life and I'm saying, oh, I'm doing the same thing as everybody else. And I happen to go to jail. And I happen to have kids. Then I happen to come home. And I happen to tell my son the same thing my dad told me. Protect and provide. Come on, son. Get up, man. Do some push-ups. Come on, son. You need some money? I'm going to give you this. Oh, I'm selling clothes, son. I need you to do this. Oh, it's NFTs out there. Oh, it's crypto out here, son. It's trademarks that you can go get an LLC and start your business, son. I'm telling my sons everything. I'm telling my sons everything that my dad was telling me. Protected, provided. But once I got into Black Fatherhood and got around a man named Larry, and we start conversating, and just like he said, this man is from God. This man is from God. God brought him in my life at a time where I needed him. I called Larry and things popped up and said, oh, you need this? Oh, don't worry about it. I'll send you the information right now. I know what you went through. He was another black father that knew what I was going through. So he was hearing all these good things. And we going on meetings with brother right here, brother right here, brother right there. And we having good meetings. And we all telling each other good things. But we always tell each other things that we don't see in each other. And he said, hey, brother, I hear all about the protector. I hear all about the provider. But Michael Jackson's daddy was guiding. He was guiding his son on one thing to a destination. See, a lot of us are just ripping around and around like this with our heads cut off. But I'm going to give y'all 4 tips. 4 tips. If you're smart, you're going to write this down. Kids, this is really for y'all. Because the first 4 things you need to remember in anything in life, in success, with business or personal, you need to understand that these are the 4 tips that built this world, that built Las Vegas. 1 is imagination. See, Kawashi had imagination on saying, I want to create the Black Fatherhood, right? 2, she created communication. She let everybody understand what she wanted out of the Black Fatherhood. 3, unification. She unified all of us, got our texts, got our emails, got all our information. Now this is 4. This is the most major one. And this is for all the kids. Implementation. You've got to have a plan and create and then put in the action behind your ideas and anything you see. If you got an idea in your mind, you can succeed with the action. But without the imagination that man taught me, my father, was the imagination, you're not going to get it anywhere. So those 4 tips. Hey, 1, imagination. 2, communication. 3, unification. And 4, implementation. I am Ronald McFoy with the Organic Goddess, OG Cafe.
Really angry. I was angry. Number 1, I was incarcerated for something I didn't do. Listen to what I'm saying. I didn't do it. For those individuals who kids growing up thinking, you want to be down, you want to be hard, I'm not going to snitch or tell. Because that's the street code. The street code is different from regular life. It's a code. So I tried to follow that stupid code. And I didn't say that. They ended up costing me my life. I spent all my 20s incarcerated. All my 20s. I don't know what it feels like to be 21 years old and go, hey, I'm 21, I'm gonna go do some stuff, I'm 21 years old. Not only was I 21 left, I also had a baby. My daughter was 1.5 when I left. 1.5. I wouldn't risk prison on my worst enemy. I wouldn't risk on my worst enemy. And I had a few enemies growing up. I wouldn't even risk prison on them. Because all the things I had to endure while I was incarcerated. So my first 5 years, I was angry. I was an angry kid. Because I was a kid, 20 years old. Especially when my mind was going, I was a kid. An angry kid. So my first 5 years were horrible. I messed up a lot. I didn't listen to nobody. I didn't want to listen to nobody. It took my life for something I didn't do. I'm angry and I'm going to give it all back. Have you heard me saying that? You going to mind somebody? Have you heard me? You going to mind somebody?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what that was at the time with the prison. I didn't want to listen to my mom. So I did what everybody used to do. and I'm crazy behind it. A horrible experience. So my first 5 years, I go, I'm tired of this. I'm tired now. What? I'm gonna get out now. In 5 years, I'm not really that angry no more. Like going back and forth to the hole, and I've been isolated from everybody. You start to think about your life. You start to reflect. There's a lot of stuff going on in society. It's hard to really reflect on your life and what's really going on in your life. But when you take it out of society and you put in a safe or a hole, oh, you get nothing time to start thinking. Every hour, every minute, every day, every year. You start to start thinking, do I want this? I never knew what day I was going to get out. But I knew I was going to get out. I just knew it. I knew, I felt it. But when those years started going by, it started taking its toll on me. Am I really going to get out? You talking about following appeals? I found over 20 appeals. I'm denied 20 times. But can you imagine the build up? Then to be let down? Year after year. And then I have to better myself. We talk about fatherhood. Well, my fatherhood in my life. And then the examples I had, they wasn't really good examples. Yeah, I had some examples, but they wasn't really, really good examples. All I know in my mind is, I said when I had kids, I just want to do something different. Whatever my father was supposed to do, that he didn't do, I'm going to do it. So I said to myself, I want to change. I want to be better. But this gang stuff had me trapped. Even though I started studying and trying to build my mind up, I was still trapped in the gang life. And I was trapped in it because I needed some advice. If there was a ride or something to jump off, I was there. I was known as a frontliner. Every time something happens, I'm right there on the spot. Like, what's up? Let's go. This is what we gonna do. All right? Frontliner. Then I said to myself, how long am I gonna do this? How long am I gonna do this? So one day, I was on the yard. Went to work, I had a little job. And the lieutenant in the office with him, a phone ring. So naturally, the phone rings, I'm gonna leave the office. Right? Out of respect. He said, no, Eric, come back in here. I said, all right. He said, hold on. And he punched the numbers on the phone, and somebody answered the phone. Hello, who are you? So, when you're incarcerated, when you say your name, there's numbers that are attached to your name. So you don't go by your name no more, you go by numbers. So mine was, and I still remember, J72022. That was my CDC number. So that was the number that was called every time that was attached to my name. So, I get on the phone, the guy said, are you Eric Brown? I said, yeah, J72022. He said, all right, what I want you to do, when you roll all your stuff up, bro, tomorrow you're going home. I said, what? He goes, yeah, tomorrow you're going home. And when he said that, I left his office and went into a small little room where all the clerks were. And I stood there. And I was so still, I was confused about my like, what? They go, what's wrong, man? What's wrong, man? I go, man, going home, man. He said, what? I said, yeah. Now, I was what you call a lifer. I had life in prison. So what life means is if you have life, 25 to life means you do 25 years first, and then you do your life sentence. down. What do I do? Now I'm going home. All these books, all this material stuff that I had, I just gave it all away. You know, 13 years incarcerated, yeah, but you treated a lot of things in here. Just gave all my stuff away except my books. When I got out, I was just so excited. So happy, I'm free. Oh my goodness, look at this. I'm free. I didn't have no parent, no one to guide me, no one to teach me. So I said to myself, when I get out, I don't have a family, I want to be here. I don't have a family. And now I have a family. I have 2 daughters, I have 2 sons. But in my mind, having somebody that I can talk to, that person over there is my cousin right here. That's, I have a lot more to say, but I'm gonna never limit the time. So I just wanted to say that you have to change your mindset, the way you think. And that's how I became a better person and a better father, because I started to change the way I saw things, the way I think as a man. And I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to be here today. And thank you guys for being fathers. I've never saw them growing up. My father was in my life. But to see this is awesome. I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here and share my little testimony.
I want you guys to remember. 1, I am phenomenal. 2, I hold the value of 0. And I'll tell you guys what those means later. So first, I gotta give a shout out to Sbx for allowing me to have this platform to speak. The next person I have to give a shout out to is this man Larry. And I'm gonna recite the poem that I recited for you when I met you. But there's somebody else in this room that I really have to give a big shout out to. You guys have seen him. You guys he didn't even know that I was gonna do this. But it's my little big brother. And I say little big brother because he's taller than me, but he's younger than me. Just so you guys know, I don't have any blood brothers, but he's my brother since the 2nd grade. I don't want you guys to answer, but I want you guys to really think about this concept. I have a question, and I will go down in history for this question, I promise you. Is it possible to be hurt by love? Don't answer. Think about it. So, I asked this question for a number of reasons. 1, I'm 36 years old, and 26 years of my life, I've tried attempting suicide. So that means for one year, I've attempted suicide at least 1 time. There was one time in 1 year that I attempted 6. I went to the mental hospital 6 different times for attempted suicide. So, when it comes to this thing of suicide, everybody has it misconstrued. And what do I mean by that? Suicide is not when the person is dead. That's the final saying. That's the final result. There's a lot of stages that come before suicide. You ever heard that old saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat? Right? Well, let me go ahead and touch on some bases when it comes to suicide. So, and this is how I end up meeting Mr. Larry. So last year, I actually wrote a poem. And I'm going to recite this poem at the end. It's called Break the Cycle. Last year, I was going through my suicidal ideation. And my 17-year-old daughter at the time, she sat down with me and expressed to me how my suicide attempts was affecting her. And in 26 years no one was able to express to me how suicide was affecting me. Now keep in mind, I've been doing this since I was 3 years old. My first attempt at suicide was 3. Why? Because I got molested. 2, I watched my cousin slice his throat. 3, I walked in and watched my auntie dying in her blood. So, at the age of 7, you name it, it happened to me. My dad, see, I didn't have everybody's experience with a good father. I didn't have that experience with everybody with a good mother. No, I was abandoned by everyone said, I love you, and I'll be there for you. But the moment they could, they did everything imaginable. Everything. I've been drugged. I've been kidnapped. I've been beaten, bruised, mentally, physically, spiritually, broken down. For what? For this thing called love. Everyone who did it, they said, oh, I'm doing this because I love you. I love you. I have to do this to you because I love you. So I grew up hating that word. And anybody who ever told me it, I hated you for it. And how did I show it? I'll take my life in front of me. With no questions asked, no remorse, no thought or theory. Why? Because I laid up at night waiting for someone to come into my room to harm me. Why? Because that was my experience. My uncle, I watched my uncle did it to me, my dad did it to my sisters, and it was just like this cycle was just going on and on and on. And every person I've ever asked, is it possible to be hurt by love? I guarantee you, I can go through this entire room and ask that question, and the majority of you guys would say yes. Okay. With that being said, I know from my personal experience that I wouldn't be able to come to you and ask for help when I'm feeling suicidal. Why? Because you're going to do what everybody else did. You're going to make me feel worse. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Do you know what God is going to do to you? You're going to go to hell. You shouldn't do that. Do you know how that's going to make me feel? But did you guys even ever ask me why I was feeling suicidal? No. Instead, you cast judgment. Oh, a person that commits suicide is a failure. They're a coward. Well, what if I was committing suicide so I didn't harm anybody? Because, again, you told me you loved me. Well, I hated you. And if I hated you, I visualized how I was going to gut you. How I was going to do all the imaginable things that you've done to me, I was going to do back to you. Anybody that's ever told me that they love me, that was my attitude. So when I say I have to give a shout out to my little big brother, that's the reason. Because even though he knew that, he never judged me. He never cast a stone. He's taken me off the ledge more than anybody else in my entire life. So, when it comes to suicide, there's 3 stages that are very important that people need to be aware of. Now, I have a statement, which is suicide is 100% preventable. And why do I say that? Because if you can address suicide before it reaches the final stage, it is 100% preventable. Meaning, first stage, heartache. Somebody goes through a terrible heartache. If you're able to reach them on that end, you can save them. 2, spirit. There's something that they're dealing with that they haven't told them. They're battling this on a regular. But did you notice that they were going through that? Did you care enough to let them know that they were going through that? That you were there? And 3, your mentors. person gets to the mentals and they check out, that's when you see them, the lifeless body. That's when you see them ready to go and end it. Because, again, suicide is when the body is gone. And this gentleman right here, he had a tragedy happen. And because of that tragedy is why I'm here today. There's a young lady by the name of Miss Stephanie right here. She created a mural in Hemet on the side of the building. And the name of the mural is called the Raven Butler mural. She created this mural in honor of this gentleman who lost his 11-year-old daughter to suicide. But prior to that, like I told you, I wrote a poem, and it's called Break the Cycle. So this is that poem. Don't act like you love me and tell me that you care. Then turn around and attempt suicide because love isn't there. How dare you expect me to give you this thing called trust? When you fail to love yourself, but love yourself is a must. You don't practice what you preach, and I just want to know why. You tell other people to love themselves, but continue to attempt suicide. One day we will look back at this and perhaps we might laugh. But until that day comes, you have to break the cycle that you never had. Now this is a message that I received from my daughter in so many words or less. Now it's time for me to step up to the plate and pass my test. So influence the brain to take away the pain of someone else. Don't think of yourself as only needing help, but truly think of someone else. Break the cycle by practicing what you preach. Because the lesson of love is great, but if you yourself don't love, then what is the lesson that you preach? So, two phrases I gave you. I am phenomenal. Why is that? Because regardless of what I've been through, I'm still here. So I am phenomenal. Second phrase was I am zero. I want all of y'all to say that with me. I am zero. Say it. I am zero. What does that mean? So I watched the TikTok. That's what you guys are into, right? The TikTok? Yeah. So there's a gentleman, and I wish I could find out who he was, but he went over it real quick. He said he was giving a testimony about how his teacher asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? He says, well, I'm already what I want to be. Like, okay, well, what is that? He says, I am zero. Immediately, the teacher started going in on him. Oh, you got more value. Don't talk that negative stuff to me. You're better than that. He says, oh, no, I'm sorry. You misunderstood. I said I am zero because I add value to others and take none from them. So, just because you don't see my value, don't mean I don't have it. So, I don't want y'all to look at me as being sad or broken or anything like that. Even though I was diagnosed with so many different disorders that they wanted to label me as, I want you guys to understand, I am an author of 7 books before I turned 36. I have my own business, and I help people go into business learning about finances in the financial industry with no educational background at all. So, don't look at me as being a victim, because that was already established a long time ago. But I am zero, and I am phenomenal. Amen.
When I was younger, I used to tell a lot of people when we were incarcerated that when they felt like killing themselves, I used to say the same thing. You weak. God says don't kill yourself. God says don't hurt yourself. He gave you life to make you create. So what would you tell the other people right now that was asked, that would say, a young-minded question to say, hey, you shouldn't kill yourself. Would you ask them to say, why are you asking me why am I trying to kill myself? Telling me, hey, you shouldn't kill yourself.
So the difference between asking the question and demanding or telling somebody is the emphasis of caring. If you tell someone, hey, you shouldn't do this, compared to, why are you doing this? There's a big, big difference. And it holds a bigger weight when you say, hey, are you okay? I noticed that yesterday you weren't your happy self. Compared to, why aren't you smiling? You should be smiling right now. There's a big difference in the aura. There's a big difference in the energy when I'm coming in a place of care compared to I'm the parent and you have to do what I say. But when we're growing up, our minds are like sponges. So we're going to absorb everything that is portrayed to us. If we watch our parents constantly fight, we're going to think that's normal. If someone is constantly beating you down, we're going to think that's normal. And if you look at the statistics right now, before the pandemic, it was the age was anywhere between 13 to 23 on a suicide rate. Now, it's all the way from 7 to seniors. Why? Because people lack the empathy. They lack the modesty to care. They don't have that compassion for one another. And cyberbullying is just going out of the roof. Again, even the seniors are being conflicted with cyberbullying because they're stuck at home. They're being confined to this no touch rule, no hugging, no loving rule. Well, people are constantly affected by it. But again, it's not just showing that you care. You got to give a time and place about when you notice something. If somebody just came to you and said, hey, I'm feeling suicidal, what are you going to do?
What's wrong?
Why? Because those are the two number one questions at a person that committed suicide's funeral is, what could I have done to prevent it? And how come they didn't come and talk to me? They did. They did. But what happened? Somebody, oh, I'm too busy. Oh man, I don't have 5 minutes to take your call. Oh, no, I can't come over to UCLA.
Get over it.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
It's not that bad.
Stay strong.
But you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I've been through to say that it's going to be all right. But did you take enough time to say, are you okay? Is everything all right? Is there any area that I can help you? Because I can't offer my assistance to help if I don't know where I'm helping. But it's the power of caring for one another. And again, this is why I'm very grateful to be able to have this stage. Because before this stage was around, he and I, that's all we had. That's all we had. And now, I'm part of the Sbx Fatherhood, and I'm telling my story of how I met Mr. Ghost here. He always seems to be disappearing. Yes, sir.
How do you? Hold on 1 second. We gotta wrap up because we gotta be out of here, and we have. I apologize, but we have one more person we need to hear from. Thought we were going to be able to get to the panel, but we're not.
No, let's do the panel.
No, you the person we finna hear from.
I think we should do the panel.
We just don't have enough time because we have to be gone. We have to clean up and be gone. But what this demonstrates more than anything is the need for a platform. So this won't be the last, but this is just a reminder that we need more events like this to be able to talk and discuss a lot of these topics that we're able
take a second and close your eyes for a second. And just keep them closed until I say come back to me. But while your eyes are closed, I want you to picture your happiest memory. If it's your childbirth, or maybe it was one time as a kid you were opening up Christmas presents, but just visualize in your mind your happiest memory. While you're visualizing, check in with your body to see how you're feeling. If you're visualizing this memory, you should be feeling an elevated emotion right now. You could put a name to that if you want. That's up to you. Okay, come back to me. Raise your hand if you're able to feel an elevated emotion, like happiness or joy or something like that. Okay. How is it that you can feel that emotion but not be in that circumstance? Can anybody answer that? Through your imagination. So first we think, then we feel, then we behave, right? So when your thoughts are what drives your feelings. A lot of times we blame how we feel on other people and circumstances that happen in our lives, right? We might blame our environment, we might blame our mother, our fathers, everything. But the reason why we feel how we feel in any given moment is because of our interpretation of what's happening in that moment. So if I were to get a phone call right now that both of my parents passed away, I'm not going to go through grief because of their death. I'm going to go through grief because of my interpretation of what their death means to me. So if you want to maintain control of your own mindset, if you want to maintain control of your own body, check in with what you're thinking about. Check in. Don't allow a thought to go across your mindset without your permission. 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day go across our awareness. How many of them are you in charge of? How many of them do you know? How many of them are you checking in with? Because that's what's going to determine how you feel. The last thing I want to share with you guys is, do you know, everybody know Genesis? Remember when God said, let there be light, and then light happened, right? At all the verses that following, at the end of each verse it said, and it was good, and it was good, and it was good, no matter what day it was, right? Think about this. When you wake up in the morning, because there's that verse, Genesis 1:27, that says we're made in his image, right? When you wake up in the morning and you visualize what's going to happen throughout the day, are you going to be able to say at the end of the day, and it was good? Or are you going to allow some circumstance that happened in the middle of the day determine how you're going to milk the rest of the day based on that feeling? So I want to leave you with, make sure that you maintain control over your thoughts, your thought life, what you're allowing to come into your thought life, because that's going to determine how you feel, and that's going to determine how you behave, and then your behavior determines your character, and then your character ultimately determines your destiny. So I'd like to leave that with you guys.